Now, staying in West Africa, where we understand that imprisoned Senegalese opposition figure Ousmane Sonko says he has resumed a hunger strike he called off last month ahead of elections next year. He said he resumed the hunger strike on Tuesday to show solidarity with other activists unjustly arrested for expressing their political opinions. Sonko has accused President Macky Sall of attempting to prevent him from running in the 2024 presidential elections, charges Sall, who was elected in 2012 and will not run in the elections, denies. Now, he was jailed in July on charges including fomenting insurrection, criminal association in connection with a terrorist enterprise, and undermining state security over incidents dating back to 2021. Now, joining us from Las Vegas, Nevada, to shed more light on this development is Galissa Boully, Pan-African activist and General Secretary, West Coast, the African Patriots of Senegal for Work, Ethics and Fraternity, that's Pastef. Thank you so much for joining us, Galissa, at this time.
Yes, the pleasure is mine. Thank you so much for New Central having me, and I'm very happy to be here with you guys.
It's indeed a pleasure. Now, Ousmane Sonko this week announced the resumption of his hunger strike. How effective was the last one, and of what importance is this in the grand scheme of things?
Thank you so much for the question. It's very important to actually highlight that hunger strike is a very difficult journey. And Ousmane Sonko, since we started politics in our party, which is Pastef, we always has used, because the government in place did not allow, practices, did not allow, gathering. So when they arrest Ousmane Sonko, we got to go a little back in May 28th, of this year. And then he was in house arrest. Then in July, they put him in jail. So since he could not resist, from outside, and from the cell, so he decided to go on hunger strike to protest against the violation of his right, the violation of all his political rights. And also, that was very, very effective because we're facing a government that since 2012 have completely toned down the democracy of West Africa, which is Senegal, which used to be like the flag, like a keeper of the democracy. So Ousmane Sonko today, we can say that his hunger strike was very effective because it has brought him back. He's been reinstated, since last Friday by the judge in Ziguinchor that showed that all the things the government been doing since the beginning of all the cases was completely wrong.
All right, Galissa, briefly take us through what has transpired in the last couple of weeks regarding Sonko's incarceration and the upcoming presidential election in Senegal.
So it's actually really important because in West Africa, we have been seeing a lot of things happening. Everybody that is in opposition, everybody that is actually acting as an opposition has been sidelined or silenced. It's very difficult to be today an opposition leader or an opposition period in West Africa, especially in the Francophone West Africa. So Senegal, who used to be, a very democratic, liberal country, have been completely under dictatorship under Macky Sall leadership. So Ousmane Sonko is today, accused from the government of Senegal of being, an insurrection leader, someone who is attached to terrorism, and all of these cases is because the government could not give an answer from Ousmane Sonko, growing political growth in Senegal. He came in, he had proposals, he had thinking, he brought in critical thinking about how the government was leading, the corruption. He worked for the government for 15 years, never been involved in any corruption cases. And today, all these people that are working under Macky Sall have been involved. So by coming in and pointing out all the bad things of the government, they see him as a terrorist. So since they cannot bring in a political answer of his political growth, they decide to sideline him. They decide to sideline all the people who are supporting him. As we speak, there's 1,500 political detainees in Senegal. They all belong to one political party. We've never seen that before. And you cannot actually see where the government have a legal matter against Ousmane Sonko. Everything is a speculation. Every case that they have brought against Ousmane Sonko is a speculation. That's why we've seen that a lot of people was worried that Ousmane Sonko will not be able to actually participate in the upcoming election. But since the justice system was so much under the executive order, we had at least one judge that decided to take his responsibility and say the law and actually judge like according to the principle of the law, which happened last Friday in Ziguinchor. The judge ruled against the state, against the government, saying that Ousmane Sonko removal from the electoral list was completely wrong, and that he reinstated Ousmane Sonko. So as we speak, Ousmane Sonko is now back to the list, the electoral list. So he will be running for the upcoming election, unless the government decide to do anything else, against that.
All right, Galissa, now still staying on Ousmane Sonko's growth and also the justice system, and also the latest ruling with the court ordering that Sonko be reinstated on the electoral list. You did talk about that. But how would you describe the political atmosphere in Senegal right now with this particular development?
It's very critical. And that's why I'm actually appealing on the ECOWAS, like leaders, because to avoid deterioration in this country that are very, very, very important in terms of keeping the flag of democracy. We have to anticipate and not allow leaders to do everything as they wish. And matter of fact, in Nigeria, Abuja, where the CCCJ is based, the Community Court of Justice of ECOWAS, where Ousmane Sonko lawyers had submitted a case in September 14 to actually call on this justice court to come in and tell the government of Senegal, hey, listen, democracy is to allow other people to express. Since May 25th, the opposition, all the oppositions are completely denied their first right, which is gathering, which is going to meet the people, which is actually, as you guys know, Senegal has instated since 2019 a program called sponsorship. So for you to become a candidate, you have to be sponsored by the population, and you have to be sponsored by 8% up to 13%. So you have to go to at least 7 regions of Senegal to get that sponsorship. So like the citizens have to sign for you, so you can bring those papers, and then the constitution can actually allow and review that and see if you have all the required documents and all the sponsorship required.
Sadly,
so you can
Galissa,
be allowed to
Boully, due to
Yes.
time constraints,
Yes.
would have to end this conversation here. But thank you so much for taking time out of your busy schedule to join us on News Central this morning.
The pleasure was mine. Thank you so much for having me.